Hi everyone, this is Unit 1, Lesson 2, and we're on page 7 of our math book. So today we're looking at something called a place value chart. And I do really like the way that they've designed this chart because as you can see here, we've got money represented as part of our visual. We're looking at the ones place, tens, hundreds, and thousands. This top row, you can see they've simply written the number. See the dot there? Remember, that's our decimal point. So when we're writing simply the number 1, we wouldn't put that decimal point there, but they're putting it here in this chart because in 4th grade we do start to look at decimal points, and I'll be referring to them quite a bit. And it wants to make clear that, oh yeah, the ones place is right beside the decimal point. Here we've got the tens. So it's just the number 10, there's a 1 in the tens place there. Hundreds, the 1 has moved to the hundreds place, and thousands, the 1 is in the thousands place here. Now notice that when we put a 1 in the thousands place, we have to fill in the rest with zeros in order for it to count as actually 1,000. Now in the second row, what they've done is they've shown the number written as a fraction. We're not going to worry too much about this right now, but just notice, oh wow, if I was going to write the number 10 as a fraction, it would be 10 over 1, 100 over 1, 1,000 over 1, and of course 1 over 1. And then you can see pictures of the money that represents this. What I want you to look at is these numbers in the row up here. Can you think of any math that we could do to go from this one to the tens place? From a 1 to a 10, what could we do? You're probably, hopefully, seeing the hint that's up here, 10 times greater. So if I said 1 times 10, would I get 10? Yes, I would. If I said 10 times 10, would I get 100? Yes. 100 times 10 equals 1,000. So as we're moving left on the place value, each place value spot is times 10 greater than the one before. We say that it's 10 times greater. This is an activity that is pretty useful if you find yourself needing extra practice with place value. You do have your whole number secret code cards here. And if you've got a pair of scissors, you could cut those out, and you're practicing making numbers here. I'm not going to spend time on the video demonstrating that, but it is kind of fun to give yourself a number like 5,243 and then trying to represent it with your cards. You'll notice that you'll stack them in layers, the thousands layer being the largest layer and the bottom layer. Okay, so let's go to the next page. We're on page 8 now. And this is the main focus of today's lesson. We're going to be reviewing how to write numbers in expanded form. You'll be using expanded form through all of 4th grade math, even when we get into decimal numbers, so it's important to really remember how this works. There's 3 different forms that you've learned so far how to write a number. Standard form, looks familiar, right? It's just a regular number with making sure we have our commas in there. Word form is just writing that out with words. This is always trickier than it seems because you have to get everything accurate. You want your spelling to be accurate. You want whenever you write the word thousand in there to be accurate. So sometimes it's a little trickier. What I always do first when I'm doing word form, I read the number out loud to myself and then I write it. So I would say 8,562. 8,562. And remembering that we put hyphens in between numbers like 62, 43, but not in between the number and the place value number. Expanded form. Now here is where those zeros really come in handy because we have to represent that the 8 in this number means 8,000s or 8,000. So 8,000, there's 3 zeros after it. One way that you can really think about that too is simply counting the numbers that are after the 8. 8, 1, 2, 3, so 3 zeros. 5, 1, 2, 2 zeros. 6, one zero. And 2, of course, there are no zeros after the ones place. Now, looking at these, I'm going to choose one that's a little bit trickier. I'm going to choose number 5 here. And we want to write the number in expanded form. So my 8 is in the thousands place. So there are 1, 2, 3 places after the 8. Now I said places because we're not really thinking about how many numbers, because somebody might argue, wait, a 0 is not a number, but it is a placeholder. So therefore we have 3 places after the 8. Then we add. Now, there's nothing in the hundreds place, as we've just said. So do we have to write anything here? Should we write 0, 0, 0? No. Anytime we're adding 0, we just skip it. So we're going to move on to the tens place without representing the hundreds place in our expanded form. Okay, so there's an 8 in the tens place. 1 digit after the 8, making it 80. You can also think about, of course, 8 tens would be 80. 8 times 10 equals 80. And then a 3 in the ones place. So that's how we would show that. 8,000 plus 80 plus 3. You can do the rest on your own. Okay, so here, this section, we're reading and writing each number in standard form. Remember, this is just regular form. This is just how you would write a number. Let's choose one that's a little trickier. Let's choose number 11. 5,000 plus 30. Okay, a lot of fourth graders I've seen write it like that because they see the 5, they see the 3, so they write that. But would that give these numbers the correct value? No. We have to have a 5 in the thousands place. I'm going to put my comma in there because I know I need it after my thousands place. And then I'm going to fill in 1, 2, 3 blanks. The reason I did that is because I know I've got to have something written for 3 places there, hundreds, tens, and ones. What should I write in the hundreds place? There's nothing here. So that means I write a 0. What should I write in the tens place? Ah, there's a number in the tens place. I know it's in the tens because it has 1 0 after it. Also, 3 times 10 would be 30. You could think about it that way too. So there's going to be a 3 in the tens place. What should go in the ones place? If you said 0, you would be correct because they didn't give us a number for the ones place. So we have to learn how to represent numbers even if they have zeros in them, and it can be a little bit tricky at first. I find putting these little lines down below helps me remember how many places I need to have. And then of course practicing reading it is so important. 5, what do we say when we get to the comma? 1,000, right? 5,000. 30. We don't say anything for hundreds or 1. Okay, and then we've got some word ones here. Again, I am going to practice reading this first. Even better, let's write it in standard form. Let's just write it in the regular form first so that we for sure have it. What would 400 plus 40 plus 1 be? Well, there's a 4 in the hundreds place, there's a 4 in the tens place, and there's a 1 in the ones place. So 441. Now I'm saying it out loud. 441. I love to hear my students talking when they do their math because it's so important to really hear how the word is, how it sounds and what you say when you get to those place values. Did anybody find my spelling mistake? Aha! You would think that 4T should be with the number 4 there, but of course with the English language there's always tricks, and that has been decided by somebody other than us that 40 should be spelled that way. So even though you would spell 4, the number 4, 40 is F-O-R-T-Y. It's a very common mistake. Okay, and then you've got some reading and writing in standard form. So again, just practicing reading it and then writing it. Standard form is just your normal way to write a number. And the very last section here is writing the value of the underlying digit. Value means that you are saying how much that digit is worth. The word digit means one of the numbers inside this number. Okay, so here the whole number is 756, but the 5 is underlined. How much is that 5 worth? 5? No, because it's in the tens place, so 5 times 10 is 50. This really goes well with expanded form, don't you think? Because that's how you would represent the 5 if you were writing this whole number in expanded form. 4, but in the thousands place, 4 times 1,000 equals 4,000. If that's a little tricky for your brain to handle, you could simply think, oh yeah, 4, and then 1, 2, 3 zeros because it's in that place. See if you can do number 21 on your own. And that brings us to the end of Lesson 2 in Unit 1.